go. Round two, just like before. Remember, you put this however you're organizing it, whether you have a separate section for your daily quizzes. I got some kids who just put all their daily quizzes for that week on one page. You want to box it off in a corner below your homework. Some kids write really tiny. Okay, so long as it's organized, you label it 1.4 daily quiz. And when you're done, you're circling or boxing your answers. Oh no. Remember, everything else we do in class is open notes. I want discussion. I want crosstalk. These are the one thing, besides our actual tests, that I want you doing your thing. Okay? Open notes, open books, whatever resources you need, but I want to know what you know, not what your neighbor knows. Okay? They should be decent examples of stuff that we did on Friday. One is a multi-step equation. The other is a literal equation. Be not afraid, it doesn't involve factoring something out like those pesky 50s. Okay? I had enough people ask. This is what I want you to do. The first kid asked me, I'm going to scribble it and send it back. The second kid asked me, I know something's getting a little sketchy. The third kid asked me, I'm going to make a video and send it to everyone. I hope it helped. Power of Christ compels you. Okay. Okay-ish.
Yeah, ish. I like keeping after school.
What class? What class did he go to next?
Latin,
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can do this without the cheaters. Zoe, Allison, Eli. I did this last time too. Emily? God, I win! Okay. Bailey. Emma. Not Cody. Jacob. Not Logan. Caden. Not Trey. I swear, I've had like all of your siblings in class. Dawson. Okay. Rylan. James. Harrison. There was a C. There was a C. There's a C involved because I blanked and I got to come back.
C-A.
Callister. There we go. Brooke. There was a Y in there. I don't remember what else. I remember there was a Y and a lot of vowels. Okay. Jane. Oh, hi. Okay. Cat. Alexis. One or more of you was gone on Friday, so that's making this worse. Okay, that's just not fair. It's just not fair. Okay. The colors are inverted. All right, so there's no actual picture to go with it. Ava and Maria. Okay. Who did I whiff on? Who did I whiff on? Matthias. Okay. You got to admit, day 4, 400 kids. That's okay. Is anyone still going? Okay. I don't remember which class I say what in, especially at the beginning of the year. If you're gone, you didn't do the thing, life got in the way, you're not ready to do this, you haven't looked at the video yet, don't do it. Okay, just step out in the hall, okay, pop some bubbles, whatever it's going to be, and then do the daily quiz later after you take that. I never want you to come in here and feel like you are forced to do a thing when you're not ready. Now, if we're talking about it's been 2 weeks, it's been 3 weeks, and I say, look, if you don't take the quiz, I just got to put the 0 in. All right, now we're just kind of there. But I want you to feel comfortable with it, okay? Especially, things are heating up. Had another 8 names added to the list this morning. So just bear with it, okay? If you're not ready to do the thing, don't do the thing. Starting with round 1. What do I do first? Okay, most folks are going to disturb her. Frank is slightly cross-eyed. Okay, there we go. So -2, so we're doing those. Okay, now what? Combine like terms. I like the good vocabulary. I'm going to say 9x minus 2 is 8. And then
you get them on the same side.
you got to move something, right? Maybe you decide you're going to add 2 first. Maybe you decide you're going to subtract 7x first instead because you're told to always move the variable first. However you learned it, however it makes sense for you, do it. But the idea is variables on one side, constants on the other. Okay, like a middle school dance. Boys over here, girls over there. Now I got 2x equals 10. Now what? Divide. If I were to ask you, is this equation sometimes, always, or never true? Sometimes, because if x is 5, It's true. If it's not true. Okay, down here I want x by itself, so I should get all the x stuff to one side. I'll add that 2x over. I will subtract that y over. And then divide. Now you're given an option. You could leave it as negative y minus 14 over 6. You could split the fraction up. Say negative y over 6 minus 14 over 6 reduces. There's entirely too much chatter as we're trying to go through this. Entirely too much. You could have split it up like that. We had some problems with something like this last time. Another way that you could have written it, maybe you would have said negative 1/6 y minus 7/3. All three of those are correct. They're all good. Okay. What I don't want us doing, because it kind of edges out of the territory of probably shouldn't all the way to we don't do that here, is don't have y plus 14 over a negative 6. Even though it's technically the same value, we don't like to leave negatives and radicals on a denominator. We don't like to have imaginary numbers down there. Generally, we want our denominator to be a positive integer if possible. Okay. So, with that, the way I'm going to roll with our points, fairly simple. We're going to say 2 apiece for is your answer correct? How was your work? Is your answer correct? How was your work? And then we're going to leave 1 floating for I did the dumb. I did the one little thing wrong. I had 10x minus 1. I just forgot to distribute that one spot. I did everything else right. I have a 1 there. Okay, so instead I got a 9/2 instead of a 5. Okay, something like that, where you can point to the specific thing that went wrong. Everything else is great. That'll be the floater. Okay? Any questions on how to score yours up? I did this. That isn't what you said. I just want to be sure. Nothing? Remember, you should have the daily quiz itself labeled, even if all you have is daily quiz 1.4. Then you got some chicken scratch that looks kind of like this problem, and then next to it I see the 4 out of 5 boxed. That's all I need, okay? But the more organized your stuff is, the easier it is to understand. I don't have to go hunting for things. That means that I'm less likely to procrastinate when it comes to going through your daily work on quiz day. Because I'll be honest, I am a procrastinator. I am terrible at it. And the more stuff I have to do, the less I want to do it. So then I might accidentally end up putting in your grades every 3 to 4 weeks. Oops. So if you make it easier on me, you're going to have accurate, up-to-the-date grades a little more consistently. Okay? But the homework. What do we got? By the way, this class, knocked it out in the park for asking questions. That's what I want. For those of you who are asking, thank you. Do that, but do it more. I'm not joking. I want you asking questions. When I get 2, 3, 4 kids asking the same question, I know it's a problem. I'm going to sketch out a video and send it to everyone. Okay? I had my 2-year-old next to me like flinging rocks at me as I was making that video. Okay. I had a spare minute. I didn't have to hold him, so we're good. I'll do it whenever I can. Okay? So that said, anyone who still has questions, speak now or forever hold your pieces.
How did we do number 53?
53. Oh, okay. Part of the problem with 53 is going to be terminology. Maybe we don't remember what complements and supplements are. I always remember complement versus supplement. C comes before S alphabetically. 90 degrees comes before 180 degrees. Complements and supplements are angles that add up to 90 and 180 respectively. So when I say the measure of a supplement of an angle is 20 more than 3 times the measure of the original. Well, I know that I'm going to have two angles that add together to make 180, just because they use the word supplement. And it says the supplement of an angle, so this thing. So I'll say the angle and the supplement, like which is which doesn't matter. Here's the angle. The supplement of the angle is 20 more than, add 20 onto the end of a thing, 3 times the angle. 3 times, well, I don't know this angle, right? There you go. And you're in business. 4x plus 20 is 180. Subtract, get 160. Divide, get 40. If x is 40, plug it into both spots, 40 and 140 respectively. But we had to know what a supplement was. We had to know that it was going to have that this plus this is 180 for a format. It's been a long time since we've heard some of those words. Quick, what's an apothem?
Isn't that the thing in the
The thingy that goes up to the middle.
Yep.
The thingy that goes up there.
Yep.
Like you're gesturing to a height.
The right angle from there. It's what's it called?
Within any polygon, you break it up into a series of equal triangles. The apothem is the perpendicular distance from the center of the polygon to the side. Okay? Like, if I saw it, I'd look at it. Okay? Where's my juniors again? How many in here are the juniors? Okay? If you are going to be doing ACT, anytime this fall or winter, I'm more than happy to do ACT review and prep with kids. Fun part about teaching everything from algebra half through pre-calc is it's probably the go-to for what am I supposed to know for this test. You all know that there's that SD My Life thing that no one likes. It has a test prep built into it, and it's actually decent. So if you ever log into SD My Life, that's got a decent free test prep as well. But there's a lot of kids who just forget stuff from geometry. Especially, I get them all the way up into pre-calc. They could annihilate anything to deal with functions. And they forget how to work with a circle. Okay, it's just been too long. So if you ever need help reviewing stuff. Okay, 53, I understand that one. We had some vocabulary issue there. More. Was the video sufficient for the I need to factor this out? For those few that watched it? 57, okay. All right. You're not going to let me do the thing, are you? No, you're not. Okay. I'm going to write it over here because Pearson is dumb and doesn't let me zoom anymore. That's a 5, right? That's a 5px. A. Okay. If I'm supposed to solve for x, stage 1, I'll distribute. That's kind of a given, right? P, B, X. Multiplication is commutative. Order here doesn't matter. I just want to have stuff. Minus 3 BC is AQX minus 4A. That's alphabet soup, right? That's tough. What if I told you that this is going to be no different than that in terms of how it's solved? Okay, you would subtract that 2x over, right? Well, see, normally we would say 2x or 5x minus 2x is 3x. We would just write it. But technically what you're doing is writing 5 minus 3x. When I add 3 to the other side, technically I'm taking 3 minus 4 as an expression. I'm just able to simplify them when I do. Here, I'm still going to move my x stuff to one side, my not x stuff to the other side. I'm still doing that. It's just a lot uglier. So here, I would have just written 2x. Well, what if I can't do that over here? You just leave it ugly. In that case, when I subtract this over, PBX minus AQX 3BC minus 4A, and add that one over, you see I've got something x, just like 5x minus 3x. So you can either think, well, I've just got this much x, or you could factor the x out, which I think is what worked for a lot more kids. Is if I factor an x out, I'm left with that 5pb minus aq. aq, qa, whatever. And just like over here, I would then divide by 2. I would divide by whatever's in front of x. I would divide by big honkin' ugly mess. It's not a pretty answer. Not even close. But I'm still dividing by the thing in front of the x. AQ, QA, BP, PB, CB, BC, whatever. It's still the same thing. X is this big, ugly mess. But what if I were to highlight right here at this line, this much x, and watch where that went at the end of this. The 5 went to the outside, combined, and then divided. It's still following that same path. It's just a bigger, uglier thing. Okay? This is also how you get into algebraic proof, which you should have done in geometry, where you would prove the formulas that you used in the second half of the class. Should have and did are not synonymous. More. 40. Just 40? Oh. There was like a grunt at the end of it. I didn't know if that was 40 or 41. 2/5 x plus 1 is g, again solving for x. Okay, I see two ways to do it. Option 1, I'll distribute. And then subtract. It's ugly, but it's no different than that. You're still going to subtract that part over and divide, right? So 2/5 x is g minus 2/5. Here's where we're going to have problems. How do I get rid of this? Dividing by fractions, easy as pie. Flip the second multiply, right? I'm going to multiply by 5/2. Multiply what?
Both sides.
Both sides. That's where we tend to goof up on these. Both sides. There's only a single term here, but I have to remember to multiply the entire side by 5/2. That's where we tend to goof up, or that's where I see the most mistakes. Is that this is a 5/2 g minus 1. It's 5/2 on both terms. I said I saw two ways to do it. The other would be, couldn't I just do that right now?
Yeah.
Multiply both sides by 5/2 right now. Subtract 1. Then you don't have to worry about that. Okay? Both are equally correct. More. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll call it at that one, and then that is the exact example I sent out.
Yeah.
Worked out in a video.
Could you do 59 instead?
59 instead? Okay. Like, Brooke, that is the video I sent out. Okay, we're going through the whole thing. Welcome back. X stuff together, not X stuff on the other side. I'll subtract that over. 3ax over 5 minus ax over 5 is 4c. Add that 4c over. And you end up with a big ugly mess. But look at what big ugly mess has in common. If I just take that x out, I've got this much x and that much x. So altogether, I have 3a over 5 minus a over 5 x, which we ran into a little bit of issue with fractions before. What if I called that 3/5 a minus 1/5 a? 2/5 a. So I have 2/5 ax is 4c. Multiply by 5/2, divide by a. If I multiply this by 5/2, I'll get 20/2 or 10. C, and then divide by A will go downstairs. They're just seeing, can you do the stuff that you've been doing for, what, 2, 3, 4 years? Can you do it when it just ain't pretty? That's tough. Okay? In fact, that's what a good portion of Algebra 2 is about, is it's taking all the stuff from Algebra 1 and expanding on it. You learned all about quadratics. So we're going to review quadratics and then say, oh, by the way, there's such a thing as an imaginary number. Now that we know that, let's take every polynomial that exists and break them down into quadratics. So it's just extending what we already know. Okay. If you can fraction,
I think you did 59 instead of 5.
Yeah, I could. 55 is the video.
I can't watch them. My
phone
phone
is
shuts off.
okay. No, it's the same as the one we just did. It's the same as 57. It's also right there. Okay. And day one, I had said, what happens if you don't have your phone? What if it gets turned off? What if you lose your contract on, run out of minutes? Maybe you're on a paid contract phone instead. Maybe you got a burner phone because your parents took yours away 2 years ago and don't trust you with one. Maybe, maybe you did something really dumb and your parents just took away your phone, actually parenting. Okay, gave you a jitterbug or something, right? Okay, does anyone even know what a jitterbug is?
I do.
All right. We're talking like flip phone with buttons like the size of quarters on them. They're meant for old people. Even my even my 78-year-old grandpa doesn't use those. So, but yeah, if for whatever reason you do not need a personal device to access anything for this class, everything is on the website. Everything will always be there in terms of resources. I have been told that students are able to have full access for YouTube on their laptops anyway, here and at home. So I know last I checked with our IT department that my site and my channel specifically are on the allowed list. So there you go. I heard that everything is kind of free to go right now. Like kids are on Discord and Disney Plus and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. If you can equation, you should be able to equality. Inequality. There you go. An equal sign, we talked about last time, equal sign is a balance. A pivot point. Everyone on this side, everyone on that side, get the teeter-totter, nice and balanced, right? The inequality is a comparison between them when they ain't equal. Now we're going to put Alexis on this side of the teeter-totter and you 4 on the other. Okay? There's an old episode of Mythbusters like that where they tried to see if they could launch a girl on top of a building. Spoiler alert, you can't. Like, it always broke the teeter-totter before anything else happened. But if they built it with a triangular suspension rig like they have for cell phone towers and had it in a V, then they just catapulted her, and it was great. They were doing, not an actual kid, it was a test dummy, but it was still pretty fun to watch. Not equal. There's the moral of the story. Y'all remember, it even says them there. Okay. How they are read is important. This says x is greater than 4. Now, we probably all remember, we were taught some point, that the shark, the crocodile, the alligator, I was always partial to Pac-Man. Whatever it is, it eats the bigger number, right? So when we did equations, I made a point of saying I don't care where your variable ends up on either side of the equal sign. With these ones, we do want the variable, the comparison, and then the value as our answer. Because that's how we say them. That's how we read them. So here's what I mean. If I say x is greater than 4 versus I say 4 is less than x. Would you agree Pac-Man's still eating the right direction?
Yes.
It's still the same inequality. It's still the same comparison. But if I say 4 is less than x, don't your eyes kind of roll up to the top right corner of your head and you start thinking, okay, so 4 is less than x. That means x has to be bigger than 4. You have to do a little bit of mental gymnastics because we naturally want to know the thing I'm talking about compared to the thing I know. That's just naturally how our brains work, most people. So this is one of the few times where I'm going to say we should have our variable on the left because that's how they are read. Okay. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. What is the difference between those?
Equal to.
Or equal to, how do I show it? Okay. One of them is an open circle and off to the right. The other is a closed circle and off to the right. Both at 4. The way that I always remembered it, more ink here, more ink there. Pretty simple. More ink here. There's a line underneath this inequality. That means I include this number. Like, you've all seen the little you must be this tall to ride signs, right? Okay. The vertically challenged people in the building roll their eyes and say, I hate those signs. That is less than or equal to, right? Would they say you must be taller than this to ride? Because then someone's going to be right up there and like, well, look at my hair. Like, it's right just like a quarter inch above the line, so I'm good, right? Well, what happens to the kid who's just right at it? You argue, right? Just make sure you remember which one's solid, which one's open circle, closed circle. You probably had a teacher somewhere along the way that made you do this. You had to do the whole thing, right? Had to label it every single time. No, this is what I want for your graph. That's all I want. Give you a little insight into teacher minds here. Unless they're just being a pedantic jerk, they don't actually care about the number line. Instead, we're looking for, is it on the right number? Is it open or closed? Is it headed the right direction? Those are the 3 portions of the answer. That's all I need. So that's all you have to do when they say graph the answer. You can just do a quick sketch like that. Good enough. All right. Those things, words. What inequality represents a sentence? 5 fewer than a number is at least 12. So I want you right next to this to write, whenever I see is, it means equals. Whenever I see is with a comparison, that's your inequality. Okay? Now, the reason that distinction is important is I will see kids who did just great at equations, but then they come over here and I'll see them write this. And that is wrong and a half. Okay? We said fewer than means what?
-5.
Minus 5. I'll put it at the end of whatever this portion is. So 5 fewer than, I will subtract 5 from a thing. A number. Okay, a number. As soon as you hit is, that tells you this is the portion that's going to compare it. Kind of like if I said 5 more than a number is no more than 12. I use more than twice in it, but one of them has is smashed up on it. So that will be the inequality. I told you last week, you're probably not going to like it, but you can English in math. You can work with the English language in math. Whenever I run into, does anyone remember what those are called? Is, was, are, were, am.
Helping verbs.
Close.
Something. Adverbs.
Aren't they linking verbs? If it's used. Okay, no, that's right. It's been a long time. Because you can have them as a linking verb when it's by itself, or it's a helping verb if it's attached to another verb, right?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, linking verb and helping verb. Okay. Those are what you're looking for. Those determine that this is the equal sign, or in this case, the inequality. So is at least. I want you to think about that. Your bank account is at least $1,500 for you to buy this car. Do you want to be more than that or less than that?
More than.
Okay, so I know that it has to be greater than. Can it be exactly
Yes.
the 1,500?
Yes.
Yes, I said at least. So that tells me it's or equal to. And then finally, the 12. Okay? I want you to think of it in those terms. Can it be bigger or smaller? Can it equal exactly this? That's how you determine what that inequality is going to be. I do some, you do some, get number 1. I haven't seen these in like 15 years.
Yeah, it's my mom's for college, so she gave it to me.
These are adorable. It's like memory lane.
But even uses
Yeah, the TI-83 I was using in high school. No, it's just the Model 80.
1999.
How old do you think I am?
I didn't think about it. 27.
I was born in 84, dude. All right, get it? We're good already? Okay. Write it. Argue. Talk to each other. Make sure you got it. Chat with your neighbors. See if you're getting the same thing. Okay. I hear the quotient of. It tells me I'm going to divide two things. Those things will be separated by an and they will tell you the order in which I do them. Then I run into is no more than. Is no more than. The number of tardies you have in a class is no more than 3 or else detention. Okay? Is no more than. So is it supposed to be bigger or smaller if it's no more than? Smaller, right? No more than. It's got a negative with it. So I got to be smaller than that. Can it equal exactly the 15? Yes. That's like you have the 3 tardies, don't do it again for the rest of the semester.
Is that how it works?
Isn't it?
Is it?
Or do you get the first detention at 3? Oh. Yeah.
So
Okay, I had someone, I forget who it was, someone came in with a really, really good question. They said, what if I wrote that as this? Can you do that? Yeah? Here's where it gets dicey. What if I added right before this 6 more than? Okay, so over here I would have said n over 3 plus 6 less than or equal to 15. Here, n divided by 3 plus 6 less than or equal to 15. Is that still okay?
Yeah. Wait, no. Plus.
It looks funky, but is it still technically correct? Right now, because of the order of operations, what would you do first?
9 divided by 3.
You would do n divided by 3. So technically it's right, but it looks a little suspicious, okay? I saw a red vent, right? But I can put parentheses around anything to make sure that it will be together. You don't have to write it as a fraction. But parentheses are strongly encouraged so we don't make that mistake. I forget who it was, but that's a really, really good question. Okay. So, solving them. To solve an inequality, you do everything the same as an equation, but you watch out for what? The signs. When do I flip the inequality? Multiplying or dividing by a negative. When you, if you don't remember that, put it on now. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. It's when the number you are multiplying or dividing by is a negative. So I could take, like, if I had negative 3x equals negative 15. Or sorry, there we go. Here, what if that was positive? And I divide. Do I flip it or not?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
The number I'm dividing by is positive, so I do not flip. But what about now? Now I do, because the number I'm dividing by is negative. It doesn't matter what you're dividing into. It matters what number you are dividing by. Okay? I lived through that era. Please don't. That's right. Distribute. Negative 6x plus 30. Watch the sign. Notice again, when I do those little arrows, I always do it from kind of right above the sign. 50. You said 30. That's your fault. That's like earworms. How many times have you been typing something? The primary causes of the American Civil War, dude, where are you going for lunch? How many times have you been typing and whatever you said or someone near you shows up in what you're writing? Okay? It's Ryland's fault. All right. Combine like terms. Not 4 prime. Subtract. Divide. Do I flip the inequality or not?
Yes.
I'm dividing by a negative 6, so I will flip. Okay. Now here's the reason for that. It's not just, it's mathemagic, believe it. Actually, let's go. Okay, we know that this is correct. What if I only divided by 6? Okay? I only divide by 6. I'm just showing you why this is. If I were to graph greater than or equal to -2, what is that? It's a negative sign. What else is it? What's another word for it?
Subtract.
Not when it's smashed up on it like that.
Add. A multiple.
Opposite. A negative is opposite. How many of you remember that from back in elementary and middle school? That it's not -5, it's the opposite of 5. Okay. It's opposite. So if the opposite of x is going that way, then the actual x should be going that way because it's the opposite. Or like, you seen the end of Super Troopers?
No, never watched it.
Oh my God, it's an amazing movie.
Wait, what is it?
Okay, it is incredibly inappropriate for school. Don't watch it in school. It's based off of an old carnival game where the little duck would be walking across and you'd hit it with a BB gun, tink, and go the other way.
Oh, actually, I think I've seen that.
And then you'd hit him, tink, and it goes the other way. Every time you do, it's an opposite. That's what negatives are. A negative is opposite. So if the opposite of x is that way, then the real Slim Shady goes that way. Okay? You have to keep that in mind. That's why we're flipping the inequality. Not just for giggles. Go.
Goodness gracious. We don't really need
Distribute.
Don't forget the negative.
Blue. Combine like terms. Purple. Constants to one side. Yellow. Divide to isolate the variable. I divided by a -2. I have to remember to flip the inequality. Y'all, when I told you that's all I need for a graph, that's what I mean. Okay? Correct number, correct circle, more ink here, more ink there, correct direction. Okay? Another reason to have the variable on the left, if you do, how many of you always got it backwards which way you shade? Or it happens too much? Okay? Look at which way they're shading. If you have the variable on the left, it makes a little arrow telling you which way to shade. The inequalities will point to which way you shade. Okay? I'll get kids who come up to Algebra II, never having seen that. Okay, I think you got that. Can you do it when it starts getting a little funkier? Do it! Do it. Do it now. Tell you what, teenage boys are an interesting breed.
Oh, damn, that is.
2, 6, 12, 12, plus 1, 6.
Better not.
I don't know if that's really. Did you just put it?
Argue it out. What does it mean?
I don't think I did it right, so my Y's cancel out on both sides.
Argue it out. What does it mean?
Yeah, negative, that's negative. That's minus 12, but that's minus yes.
Dang it.
Wait, okay, so like here, do I just I did that. That's actually
Constant bracket.
but like the 6 then the negative.
Hold on. I don't know them too well. These brackets. Can you explain to me what these do again?
Simplify what's inside the brackets first.
Yeah,
Is that how you do it?
Parentheses work inclusively.
Oh no, they're
that makes it easier.
So
It's like 2
can
separate
you
sets, though. Don't try and do
do anything with these? Can you simplify these?
So it's just negative C's inside the brackets.
So take
Plus K, yeah, we're
Plus B negative.
a negative 1 times those two things. Yep.
So I don't have a Y.
Argue it out. What does that mean? You did it correctly. Now, what does it mean?
Is it just Y?
Is it a true statement or not?
Well,
What do
I'm
you
trying to think about it differently because I was thinking, wait, there's 2 parentheses, so I was like,
Work your way inside out.
yeah.
Distribute a negative. Combine like terms inside. Then deal with the 6.
Yeah, I was right. Why are you saying 3? No, I was saying.
Don't just sit there. Just sit there is bad.
I'm not good at math. That's not my thing.
So first, we distribute the negative. Combine like terms if you can. You just work your way inside out. What's 5y's minus 3y's? Okay. On this side, I will. Well, so far it's all the same business. So distribute here and distribute here. Now what? It just had more parentheses. Now what? Yes, you can. Now what? No, you're getting confused because you see that these two are going to cancel out.
No, I can't do simple math.
Oh, use your fingers. I use my fingers. I'm the math teacher. There's 6 fingers. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22. Use your fingers.
I can't.
There's no shame in that. Grab the calculator. 28 minus... Oh, wait, that's an... I missed the negative there.
Like, that's not what it's
Sorry, I missed the negative. So, keep going more negative then. Negative 28, negative 29, negative 30, negative 31, negative 32, negative 33, negative 34. Then, play the Who's Lonely game. Get the Y's on one side. Something weird's going to happen. Okay, I think we're either getting there and then not sure what to make of the final answer, or we sense a disturbance of the force halfway through the problem, and then we just kind of give up. Stage 1. Distribute. Combine like terms. Distribute again. Okay.
Okay, so could you just distribute right away?
No, because you get a different answer. We got plus. Oh wait, no, we did. Yeah, no. We got
Yes and no. Because you would have to recognize that if you're taking a 6 times this, and this, and this, you still have that negative there. It starts to get into some dicey, but if this, then watch out. If that, it really doesn't work. If this, okay. So it's better to start inside parentheses and work your way out. The order of operations say parentheses come first. So start in the parentheses. Now here's the thing. Once I'm here, whether you move the constant first or not, if I were to subtract 12y, if I were to go even further, maybe I subtracted the 6. Like, I got no more variables. Think back to what we did on Friday. Is 6 greater than or equal to negative 28? It's greater than. Right? Having $6 is better than owing your buddy 28. So if this is a true statement, what's the answer? I did all the math right and I got a true statement. We had this with equations. What happens if I do all the math right and I get 5 equals 5? All real numbers work. Infinite solutions. This is a true statement. All real numbers, everything's going to work. I could put anything I wanted in for y and it's going to work. It will always be true. There really is.
What is that? How do you do that?
What? No, it's an upside down A. All real numbers. So. Okay. So what would happen if I did that and I ended up at the end with that? Is 6 less than or equal to negative 28?
No.
So I got a false statement, so never true, no solution. Just like with equations where you had true or false statements, getting you all real numbers or no solution, I can get the same thing with inequalities. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so obviously 6 is greater than negative 28, but how's it equal to?
Greater than or equal to. That's why it has the word or in there. To take care of that. Okay. All right. And then Satan said, let there be words with math. A movie rental company offers two... Okay. Y'all are too young for this. This is how it was back in the day. Netflix said, hey, if you pay us $10 a month, then we will ship you 2 movies every month. Like physically, a DVD in the mail. You watch it, you send it back. That was good stuff back then. That's why Blockbuster went out of business. Yes. Like straight up, they just ate them. This is how it used to be, so it shows you how old our books are. I don't think it's been this way for at least 10, 15 years. So I don't know that you've ever seen this. Have any of you ever gotten actual movies rental in the mail? Not Redbox, like in the mail. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think Mr. Movies was last of its kind in like a 200-mile radius. A movie rental company offers 2 subscription plans. You can pay $36 a month, as many movies as you want. Back in the day, that was worthwhile. Or you can pay $15 a month, and then it's $1.50 for every movie. How many movies must you rent in a month for the first plan to cost less than the second plan? There's your question. First plan costs less than second plan. So I'm going to have first plan costs less than second plan. Why do I smell skunk? I do. Not in my room. I'm going to kick you out. So what are you paying per month for the first plan?
36.
Just $36. That's it. Pure and simple, just $36. How much am I paying per month for the other one, though? You got to pay 15. $150 per movie. Solve. I'll subtract. Divide. Okay. You get down here, you quit, you move on to the next problem. You got, 4 out of 5 on your daily quiz. What's wrong? The math is all right. Okay, we could flip that thing around. Okay, we didn't answer the question yet. I just have an inequality there. How many movies must you rent for the first one to cost less than the second? And it says X is greater than 14. Can you rent 14.1 movies? If we're going by quality, the entire Twilight series, yes. But no, I can't do 0.1 movies. So instead, I have to say 15 or more movies. Because I need to be greater than 14. 14 is not greater than 14. Okay. Who was, we had, like, this whole front, no, Rylan was here. How tall are you?
Like 6 foot, 6'1" maybe.
Actual height, not roster height.
6 foot. 6 foot.
6 foot. Okay, are you taller than yourself?
Probably.
He's so confused because that's a stupid question. You can't be taller than yourself. 14 can't be taller than 14. 14 is not greater than 14, so I have to go to 15. Okay?
That's like when he said, "Is your name Riley?" Yeah.
Go for it.
That's what it said. But no, I'm gonna get Riley.
Same deal, but now we're looking at music subscription plans, as in right after Metallica had sued Napster. It was about 2001, 2003. Everyone would get their music for free from Napster, and then Metallica sued the bejesus out of them for giving away their music for free. Yep, it was a big deal. And that's the reason that we have subscription streaming services like Spotify now. Yeah. Because now someone like Spotify is they're going to pay for the usage rights of all the music, and then you pay just a license to utilize their service. They found the loophole to get around that, where you're still paying and the artist is still getting royalties. This was the first iteration of it. They get paid royalties. Like you get the music distributor, like MGM Records or whatever, would do a contract with Spotify and say, everyone who's on our label, you pay us this much to use our music.
Yeah, I got one. I got
Second plan, less than the first plan. First plan, you're going to pay $9 no matter what, plus $1 per download. Second plan, 25 for the plan, but 50 cents a piece. I'm actually just going to call it 1/2. Subtract 9. Subtract 1/2. Divide. So if at the end of the road I got D is greater than 32, Oh, I thought you said 33.1. I was like, are you being facetious or what's going on here? Okay, yeah, I need to have at least 33 songs, right? Because at 32 is where they break even, is where they both cost the same amount. If you're on this plan, they're on that plan, you both do 32 songs, you both pay the same amount. After that, 33 and more, the second plan is cheaper. This is a legit thing you can do for real life expenses. You decide, do I want to do this? This is how I decide how to do my insurance. You've heard of a deductible, right? A deductible is the amount of money that you got to pay out of pocket no matter what. If you get a higher deductible where you pay more out of pocket, you get a better rate. If you pay a lower amount out of pocket, you got a higher rate. Depends how much you're going to use that insurance for. In a year where I might end up on a ventilator, I'm taking the good insurance as much as possible. Okay, I'll pay for that because our healthcare system sucks. Everyone's does. This is the United States. Okay? Ask someone from anywhere else, okay, how much does it cost to be born? And they'll just kind of laugh at you like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, seriously. It was like $9,500 to have the kid. Now, most of it's covered under insurance, but we still ended up paying like $1,500 out of pocket just to have a kid because our medical system is disgusting. But this type of comparison, yeah. I mean, unless you want to go old school and just like, I don't know, go hang out in the woods, get them out on a bale of straw or something, you know, I don't know. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not safe. Always, sometimes, are never true. So kind of like what we were just talking about, right? I could do all the math correctly, and I end up with one of two things. Add 6x to both sides. I got -2 is greater than 7. Is that a true statement? I did all the math right. My variables disappeared. -2 is greater than 7. False. So there is no solution to this, which means it's never true. I'll disturb it. Combine like terms. Subtract 3x from both sides, and we get down to that numerical statement again. Is -15 less than or equal to 8? Yeah. Since I hit a true statement this time, now all real numbers are going to work, so it is always true. So you can do all the math correctly, and it still ends up weird. You could make all the variables disappear. You could get down to just x equals x. You base it on whether there's a true statement or not. What is sometimes going to look like?
When we use the variable. When it's just like x is greater than or equal to.
When you get an answer, right? X is greater than or equal to 4. Well, if x is greater than or equal to 4, it's true. If x is less than 4, it's not true. Okay? Sometimes. When will I be able to buy the car? When you work this many hours. Oh, back that up. There we go. Get it. See, the nice thing about being a teenager is most of you will be able to claim tax exempt, though. So you get it back. It'd be like 20-25% taken out for taxes and payroll and all that kind of other junk. But you get the vast majority of that back if you don't make enough money. Anyone know offhand what it is? When I was in high school, like you could make like 8,000-10,000 and they still wouldn't. You'd still get it all back. No? No one knows? Okay.
Because -12 is always going to be less than 8.
Okay, distribute. Work it through.
I'm sorry if you don't find that to be human.
Distribute on both sides. Variables left, constants right. Now remember, When you get down to the comparison, when you get down to 5 is less than 13 or whatever it is, don't just stop there. Answer the question. You distribute. If I subtract 8x from both sides, negative 12 is less than 8. Or if I wanted to keep going, I could have 0 is less than 20. Like just add 12 to the other side. Like it depends on whether you moved your constants first or your variables first changes what happens here. That's why I say it's just based on whether it's a true or false statement. Is it true or false?
True.
True.
Always.
So don't just stop there. The solution is all real numbers. The answer to the question is it's always true. Okay? Those are two different things. The actual answer is all real numbers.
Wait, so what is that?
What? Oh, for all.
All.
It's used for mathematical proof. What's funny is this means for all, but then you go and put it in a circle, and now it's anarchy. There's a philosophical debate to be had there. Be prepared. Purge 2022 coming to Spearfish. This is a compound inequality. Compound inequalities come in two shapes, ands and ors. If I say, you want to go to the football game on Friday, mom and dad say, cool, you got to do the dishes and you have to clean your room. You only do the dishes. You don't touch your room. You going? If they're parenting, no. Okay, an and is something where both conditions have to be met. Do both of them. I will subtract 1. Divide by 2. Just like you're working at McDonald's, stick spatula under there, flop the whole thing over. X is greater than 3. Okay, here. I'm doing these two separately. Next up, 3x is less than or equal to 18. I'll just divide by 3. Get x is less than or equal to 6. So I have to find where these are both true. Where is x simultaneously greater than 3, but less than or equal to 6? Okay. Would you agree that's the first graph?
Yes. Yeah.
Second graph.
So it would be 3.
Because it says and, it's everything in between them that makes them both true. Do y'all remember doing an and sandwich called a compound inequality?
Yeah.
Less than x is less than or equal to 6.
Would it matter if you put like the 6 first?
Yes, it would, because the 6 come before 3 on a number line.
No.
So like if I did this.
No, but I'm saying like if you still put the signs the right way.
Okay. So you did 6 like that?
But you don't want
Technically, but it's a little bit sketchy again. You want it to go in number line order when you write your answer. Okay. So official answer, 3 is less than x is less than or equal to 6. With an open circle here and a closed circle here. It's everything in between. I don't want to leave this entire mess. Okay, because this spot to the left and this spot to the right are not part of my answers. You want everything in between them. Now, if you don't believe me that I can write it like this, take this. If I have these two answers, these two inequalities, okay, that's why you write them as a compound inequality. Because you are saying that I'll do a 3 and then a 6 with an open circle and a closed circle. X is somewhere between them. Go. Don't ever say that in my room again or I will kick you out.
Did she say she's done?
Don't draw on my squishy.
I didn't mean to press it down. It was like,
Oh my god.
Is that what it is?
No, I didn't swap my inequality.
What? You gotta divide your 3. 6 times by 3 is 2.
Solve both of them separately. If you want to know what it actually looks like, you can always sketch it and say it's got to be 2 and bigger, but it also has to be 6 and smaller. Because it says and, it's everything they're both true at. The only places they are both true are from 2 to 6. Give you an idea, a typical year, we finish this lesson with 10 to 15 minutes left. That means there's entirely too much side talk, distraction, too much going on. Good thing this is all review. What about an or? What about an or? One or the other true. Solve both separately. If I look at a number line, one of the easiest ways to irritate me is when we are not finished and you're already packing up. Then I'm going to say figure it out on your own. If k is supposed to be less than this, but it's also supposed to be greater than or equal to this, if I said and, where do they overlap? Where are they both true?
Nowhere.
So I would call it no solution. But because I said or,
It's true.
it's true here or here. This is literally your answer and your graph because we said the word or.
But if it was and, it would be.
It would be no solution.
But they don't cross.
That's right. Finish off the example below it.
Last part.